Welcome, everyone. This is the She Sailor Sea Story. Our 1894, Lucy Carnegie of Pittsburgh asked for membership and permission to fly the New York Yacht Club Bergie. On May 17th, the Yacht Club amended their constitution and she became a member. However, she could not vote. Even so, the pessimist in the club cried a wedge had been driven into the heart of the men's club, and they predicted with dismay a reign of petticoated commodores would follow. I could find no evidence of that. 24 years later, Ruth Beals was born. Ruth became more than a member of a yacht club. She became more than a commodore of a yacht club. Ruth Beals founded a yacht club, and her story is really incredible. Susan Bohl is Ruth Beals' older daughter. Sue learned to sail from her mother when she was about 8 years old, and sailing was an integral part of her growing up. She is proud of her mother and knows that she was a special person with a strong sense of independence. And the story Sue will share isn't her own, but it's her mother's words from an article she wrote to her alma mater magazine some years ago.
Everyone knows that Arizona is a desert state, but not many people, including some newer residents, realize that there are numerous navigable lakes and rivers within easy reach of any area in the state. I first began to think about this in 1958, when it seemed that every magazine I picked up had an article on sailing. The sport finally so intrigued me that I persuaded my family that we should acquire a small pram, even though, as far as we knew, there wasn't a sailboat in the entire state. As it turned out, there were two sailors who also thought they were alone and crazy. We took the boat and a little book of sailing instructions to Guaymas, Mexico on our vacation that summer. In blissful ignorance, we bobbed about the bay, having a great time, capsizing and learning everything the hard way, and then found out the bay was alive with sharks. The challenge of introducing sailing to Arizona proved too strong to resist, and October 1961 found me seated under an umbrella alongside one of Phoenix's busy streets, babysitting some boats. Much to my delight, enough people were interested in the sport to form an organized group. We started with 3 boats and 15 people. Today, we boast 40 boats and over 100 club members in the Arizona Yacht Club. This is not a yacht club as it is usually thought of. We have no clubhouse, simply travel as a mobile group for activities. During the week, the boats are kept on trailers, tucked safely under the carport, while the family car sits in the sun. On the early morning of a race day, a long caravan of boats with their overhanging masts winds up the crooked Apache Trail to one of the reservoir lakes in the Salt River chain, which extends from Roosevelt Lake, 90 miles away, to Saguaro Lake, which is an easy 30-minute drive from Phoenix. The boats range in size from 8 to 18 feet, with centerboards and tilt-up rudders, inasmuch as the marine facilities are still quite primitive, no hoists, just the beach or ramps for launching. There are docks on 2 of the lakes, picnic facilities, and a restaurant, but no other development. So the skippers and the crew meet on the ramp to launch the boats. The race committee sets out the marks, and children and picnic lunches are deposited in the spectator area, high on an overlooking bluff. Class races are conducted twice a month, from September through April, in Lido 14s, Sabbats, El Toros, Interlakes, Lehman 12s, and some one-of-a-kinds. Winter may seem like an odd time of year, but this works out nicely for us. The lakes are quite crowded with skiers in the summer, whereas we have virtually no competition in the winter. Besides, our winters are normally mild, and the summers are beastly hot here in the desert. The mild winters statement was a bit difficult to explain last January when a dozen California skippers launched their boats in a snowstorm at our annual invitational regatta at Canyon Lake in the Superstition Mountains. In addition to the racing schedule, we have a junior sailing program for our young people. And for the party-minded members, we provide the Commodore's Ball in December, a costume party at Halloween, and a summer splash party. Several times each year, the group takes a weekend camping jaunt, perhaps to Lake Mead, or one of the beautiful pine-rimmed northern lakes, or to the Mexican fishing village, Puerto Penasco, on the Gulf of California. These are family soirees with just cruising, beach combing, campfires, assorted wildlife, and lots of shoreside fun. The distaff Beals are fortunate to be able to spend our summers at Holly Lake on the Fort Apache Indian Reservation, 8,500 feet high in the White Mountains. Sailor's heaven, no motors. It would be ridiculous for me to attempt to describe the magnificent scenery which surrounds all of our lakes. Sheer rock walls in the canyons, distant mountains. The sight of our graceful sails against this backdrop is unbelievably lovely. Our daughter Sue, a sophomore in high school this year, cruised for me, and 11-year-old Margie sails the 8-foot Sabbath. Howard will be fleet captain this winter, so his sailing will be limited, but all of us will be in the water somewhere when the gun goes off. And there's nothing more exciting than being headed for the starting line with clear wind and good competition. If you haven't tried it, beware. It's contagious with no known cure except to hold the tiller. Then she just, on a whim, she just decided she wanted to sell sailboats. And then at the lot where she was selling the boats, she started signing people up because Indian school at that time was a main thoroughfare. And so everybody drove by there at one time or another. And so people would stop because, you know, here were all these boats and the sails were up, and it was really unusual. So people would stop and talk to her, and then she'd say, if you're interested in, you know, starting something or being part of this or just knowing about it, put your name here. And then she got people's names and phone numbers, and that's just kind of how it started. One of the regatta, you know, the Ruth Beals regatta, the last one she went to, they were, you know, talking about regaling her with compliments and everything. And she goes, gosh, I just thought we were having fun. And then, you know, that was her. Mom won. She came in first place in the Lido class, and I can't find the little trophy. I was going to show it to you because it's real cute. But she and Paula Davis, who was her crew, it was a 2-woman crew, and she sailed, of course, with competition with all the guys. And that's the way she preferred it. She didn't like to sit and talk about recipes and kids with the women.
So thank you so much, Sue, for telling the story.